bottom sections too, percentages of students who score higher range between 6 and 800. It seems that there's the data from the SAT scores and the AP scores doesn't seem to match what we see in terms of composite trend with the index scores. And that makes us curious. What is the explanation?
Although if you just look at your math 700 to 800, the same percentages exist at North and at Narragansett High School. In the 7 to 800 range, 6% at both schools. In each of the 607. No, 607 both at 6%, and 708 both at 3, 2 to 5. So there's a lot of comparability as well. In addition to some places that you're saying, hey, what's going on? But if you just take a look at from 6 to 9, we had a higher percentage in 06, 07 than North Kingstown had in the 06 or 07 year. So I think you can find as many places that we did do better on an SAT, particularly year or subject, as the other. That's why it's one piece, it's one element in the whole picture. I think if we analyzed it all through, we'd be able to tell you a few places that we might want to improve. And I think one of our AP things might be, there are traditional teach to the AP test courses, and there are a little less than traditional teach to the AP test courses. And I had quite a discussion with a parent who's a professor at URI in science, whose daughter's at a college in Maryland, and she's a bio major. And she said, Mom said, how you doing after first semester? And she said, well, all these kids took AP Bio. She said, I took Bio too at Narragansett High School. I'm doing better than they are because we were project-based and not focused on the test. So that was her short answer to the differences between that. So that high AP score does not always guarantee that piece. I mean, I'm not going to say we can match up every single test and year and subject with NK. But I think you're going to see more similarities than differences, and maybe not statistical differences.
It might be interesting. I mean, I know this was a tremendous amount of work just to compile this data, but even if the data was disaggregated, so the Jamestown students were taken out, and then we're looking at, we were looking just at North Kingstown SAT scores, kneecap scores, without just. So we could kind of compare apples to apples. It would be interesting. And this was obviously a tremendous amount of work, and that would be well. But it would be interesting.
We aren't able to pull them out
in
that way. However, these scores are a reflection of instruction. So, to say that the Jamestown kids would do the same would score the same on the test, regardless of which high school they go to.
Marsha, I'd also
isn't necessarily
They're
a conclusion that you can draw.
They're a reflection of instruction. We also know they're a reflection of the demographic. I mean, anyone who doesn't think that about SATs, they're both. They're both. And so we have to know who we're talking about, because SAT are so much more strongly related to who you are than instruction, and in many of the cases. So I think we have to look at both. And that's why the Jamestown student is a particularly talented student. There's no question about it.
And one thing about the SATs also is, I'm sure we've all seen the studies where even though they may be a reflection of instruction and so forth, they're not really a predictor of success in terms of college retention and future career success also. In fact, Kathy and I at the RIASC meeting on Saturday heard that the #1 predictor of success is the educational attainment of the mother.
Still is.
Last question.
You have data on that?
Yeah.
There are outliers. Tell me about your mother.
Last question was about enrollment numbers. You mentioned elementary, about 500?
542.
Okay.
And growing. That's like really exciting for us.
Okay.
We're back at our elementary school is now back at the levels of 2004, which is incredible. Middle school, let me change my number, 485 right now, going to 440 next year. That's a very small third and fourth grade coming through. So, and high school 489, and pretty stable next year.
And what's the capacity of the high school, just seats?
800. 800.
Yes, go for 800, but
And your census numbers show you have strong youngsters, strong numbers of youngsters coming into the elementary. Yeah, you said you think that stable.
Right.
Yeah, that's what.
For the first time, I'm not going to be able to say we're cutting staff. I mean, that's going to be a challenge for this year's budget, no question. But as Ray said, it's the discussion doesn't become how much does the town support for the budget. It becomes how do you use the surplus? Do you use it to increase that budget or not? So yes, all indications are we're starting our upturn again. I mean, within reason, Julie. You know, I mean, it's a small town, but we like the current trend right now.
Other questions for the committee?
I was just wondering if you've done any extrapolation in terms of the staffing impact that our students would have.
Yes, we have.
And I'd be interested in hearing what you have to say about that.
I left that over in the car. But Mr. Warner and I worked on that. And it would be a progression year by year. And your committee knows we have very small class size, actually, quite small class size. So adding 50 students would probably add 2 sections in English, 2 sections in social studies, not even a full teacher, and it would be progression. We already have a science teacher with an extra period, and so we wouldn't even have to add a science teacher. So that's when we say the funds would also go to curriculum director and busing and that kind of thing, because we don't have to hire 10 teachers in year 1 to make this work. What we would need to do, though, however, is bolster some departments. We definitely know that we want to bolster our art department. Art has been a value of this school system, and we have talented artists here in Jamestown. We need to bolster that, so we will be putting more monies into that. We might expand the music teacher from a .8 to definitely to a full-time to be able to do this. So we think the staffing impact would be pretty minimal in year 1, 3.0 equivalent spread across a variety of subject areas. But money is into programs that we want to improve, especially virtual learning, which we're going to do anyway, but we could expand it further and faster. There's no question about that. The art departments, maybe adding a couple clubs, maybe looking at another sport, adding more assistant coaches. There'll be those kinds of things that we might be doing to bolster the number of students, just to support the activities. Might have to add 1 special educator per year as we go through the process.
One